Okay, well, it is 11:01 on Tuesday, March 2nd, 2023. And I will call this City of Lacey Transportation Committee meeting to order. Can I get a motion for our agenda?
I'd move to accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion about our one item agenda? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that motion passes, and it looks like today we will have a presentation from our city engineer, Aubrey Collier.
Good morning, council members. So I'm here today to give you a transportation update. This will include projects that are currently in construction as well as projects that are currently in design. So that I was able to save a compressed version of this that we can email out to you if you want an electronic copy later. Okay, so the first project on our list is the 2022 Carpenter Road improvements currently under construction. I'm going to hand it over to our design and construction manager to go through the construction projects on the list here.
All right, as shown there on the map, this project is primarily between the Woodland Trail and to the limits of the last Carpenter Road improvements project on the southeastern portion of Carpenter Road there. We are almost complete with installation of water line throughout that project. There's still some upcoming weekend work to cross in front of the North Thurston Public Schools Transportation Center while they're not operating. And then that will be on hold once those water lines are in place until paving, final paving, once school is out in summer of 2023.
Real quick, we still on Carpenter in this section, we're still kind of like Mullen was back in the day, where it's just kind of a little go trail. We're not sidewalks there yet, are we?
No,
No, we're not.
sidewalks.
Okay.
All right, the 2022 overlay utilities portion covers 3 areas. We have 14th Avenue Southeast between Golf Club and Sleater Kinney. We are planning to test the new water lines in that area next week and then repave that section. The road should be reopened at this point. And then up in 7th and Sleater Kinney there in the business district, that night work is scheduled to begin starting next week. And over on the east side, on the side of the screen there, you can see Franz Street. PSE will be getting in there next week as well to get a gas line moved out of the way prior to us coming in later on this month. And 2022 sidewalk repairs are complete in the Willows Crossing and Rosewood neighborhoods. And about 90% complete on Parkside Drive. It's currently the largest section of this contract. We had a little bit of extra work to do in that area to match residential walkways up to our new sidewalk. So that's taken some additional time. But following completion of that later this week, they'll be moving up to 6th Avenue at Golf Club Place, which is right there in front of the coffee shop and intercity transit station. So we'll be redirecting pedestrian traffic through that area for a few weeks. Electric vehicle charging stations site work is complete at all 4 areas. At this point, we're just waiting on materials for the chargers themselves and service cabinets and startup of the program, which requires a account manager for the charge point contract. Aubrey, I don't know if you want to expand upon that portion at all.
Before we can really activate these, we do need to determine what we're going to charge. And so Marcus is going to be our project manager for this. And so you'll be seeing some information upcoming fairly soon here on getting some guidance from council on what you would like to see for those. So that'll be upcoming in the next couple months.
Does anybody here have any reservations about this project?
Well, I mean, it's good it's moving forward, but the lesson we've learned is we don't want federal funding for small projects like this. The new BABA requirements are making these kind of projects very challenging.
Yeah.
I think you heard the story about how initially the consultant had confirmed that the charging stations were available to meet the Buy American requirements. It turned out they met not the FHWA Buy American requirements, but some federal transit authority Buy American requirements.
Mm-hmm.
So that's caused delay to the project. But we've always known that kind of our rule of thumb is when it comes to federally funded projects, if you can't get $1 million, at least it's not worth taking because the administrative costs are so high.
And so are we, I know that we have to source this material, from specific sources. Are we over that hurdle?
I believe so.
Yeah. I remember that was our last.
We had to take a portion of it out of when we initially advertised this project, that's when we became aware that it didn't meet the right Buy America requirement. We had to pull that advertisement and pull the type 2 chargers out of that contract. So that the federal contract only includes the type 3 chargers, which do meet the requirement, and the city has to install the type 2 chargers separately as a separate project.
Gotcha.
So it just complicated things.
The other problem that we had on this is that PSC cannot provide that much power. So we had to pay them quite a bit that we didn't expect
Sort of premium there.
to get more power for the chargers.
Okay.
Well, that kind of gets to my question, which is, do we have some examples of what is typically charged for the use of public chargers? Like what would compensate us the cost of the power going to the terminals? Are there examples from other cities for what other cities charge that we can look at?
It looks like there's two ways that you can do it. One is based on equivalent gasoline prices, or you could do it on the electrical charging. Is the two options they have they have about a 10-page.
Yeah, they have some different ways we can do it. I looked around the area, or probably Washington State is probably the one that uses the most chargers around here. And they charge maybe anywhere from $3 to like $2 an hour.
Mm.
So,
Okay.
It's not a
Yeah.
cost.
yeah, it's we're not
Right.
gonna-
It doesn't sound.
I don't
Okay.
even think we're gonna break even.
So,
It's not even a break even model.
so it's kind of like, is it more like a parking meter type of model where it's really trying to get people to turn over the space so you're not.
There's ways we can do that. So just say your car takes 6 hours to charge, it'll charge you for that time to use it. And then if it's fully charged, then we can drop it down and it charges like $1 an hour.
Okay.
So it forces you to move your car. I mean, there's like 100 different ways we can do it.
And I think that after your charge is fully, car is fully charged, skyrockets.
Yeah. Sure.
But anyway, all those rates can be set. I mean, they're just flexible.
So we
So
could charge during
Excuse
different.
me,
Go ahead, Councilmember Simmons.
is there any way we could tie this to being able to lower our carbon footprint, but probably not because it's just accessible to the public, right? And not I mean, unless us as council members or staff are parking there using it, right?
Well, overall, it's implementing the strategies that are contained in the climate mitigation plan for the overall reduction of carbon footprint in the community. So there's a couple of facets we have is one, you have the charging station available to the public. Eventually there's going to be, as we study the situation and kind of get some trucks in, fleet conversion, and then that will be, over time, we'll be doing the organizational reduction. But overall, this is consistent with the climate mitigation plan efforts.
Okay, so the reason why I ask is because I think at that point, if it in any way, shape or form is associated with lowering the carbon footprint or, improving our, environmental impact in any way, shape or form again, then we should, incentivize it, encourage people to use that, and which means you'd probably want to have a lower price per hour for charging. That's just
Right,
my.
it doesn't have to necessarily make the money back that it costs to operate if by installing these stations, we're making it more feasible for people to have electric vehicles in our community. So that is getting at a different priority that we have identified, right? And I had the same question that Councilmember Stedman did about kind of, is this going to assist with city vehicles? Because I know we do have in our plans to transition to electric vehicles in the future. I'm guessing maybe that we wouldn't be using these public stations though. Would we have a city charging facility that would use for those trucks once we purchase them?
So right now, it's been very challenging to get electric vehicles. We, set out a plan to buy a Ford Lightning about 2 years ago, and then
You still working on it?
transition in, but we have not been able to get any Ford Lightnings. And, even though we placed orders, Ford's canceled orders, there's a long process there. With all that said, we're kind of transitioning over to, buying from lots. So we do have a Volt coming, I think next week, and it's replacing our Prius, which is a pool vehicle, which is out here. So we will use these chargers to charge that Volt. In terms of longer term planning, when we do get to the point where we are going to charge city vehicles here at City Hall, that is most likely we would want those chargers out back where the police vehicles are, and that down at the shop, they've purchased 3 or 4 chargers to use. So as we get these vehicles, we have something. But in terms of an overall EV charging station plan, we have not put one together. And part of the reason that we have not is we're going through the space needs analysis, which could reconfigure things at the shop, here at City Hall.
Yeah.
So that is in the works. But I can tell you that as challenging as it is to get an EV, we're not at this point in time able to carry forward with our conversion plan, which was as vehicles come up to, as a gasoline vehicle were to come up, replace it with an EV. We just can't get the EVs.
Right.
So
Right,
that
we can't move by attrition to replace our fleet with electric vehicles because they're not available. So maybe that's serendipity, because that maybe will let us get through our space use planning first.
Yeah.
And then hopefully the market will open up a little bit for EVs.
And Scott alluded to it, as we get to the charging infrastructure plan, we also want to get a few of these vehicles in place so we can see how they work, what their charging cycles are, how would we set them up more efficiently before we start going, buying a lot of equipment in, that we can have it all set up and know what the dynamics of charging and use is.
Yeah, I'd like to see
Yeah.
if they do an entire city work day on a charge.
most,
Hey, guys, as in terms of the price, you said $2 to $3 an hour. I would be along the lines of charging like $1 to $2 an hour. Again, incentivizing, but I would even lower it more than that, but we should use that money for future buildings of stuff that this construction project doesn't curtail, expanding off it.
so
We definitely need to talk about this much further with you, and so we are planning to have a meeting dedicated to that upcoming.
Awesome.
And we'll pull together all the information, what other jurisdictions are doing, what the analysis Marcus will do, and provide that for future conversation, as Aubrey said. So we can probably should get on to the next slides, which I
don't want to keep you here all afternoons.
All right, because we could stay here all day with this.
We definitely be bringing this one into a future conversation.
it's an electrifying topic.
oh,
Sorry.
All right, so citywide
signal ITS upgrades, is also a grant funded project and that'll be moving forward here in the next month or so. Construction has not yet begun. That was just awarded this past week, correct, Martin?
Next week.
Next week, okay, thank you. It'll be coming to you next week for award. Golf club road, water and wastewater improvements. As you can see, there includes portion of Lacey Boulevard and the roundabout as well. We are working through some conflicts with other stakeholders in the area to make sure we've addressed any impacts to North Thurston schools and residents and businesses, et cetera. But that one is coming forward, planned to come forward to award in April 6th.
And just to tie in specifically how this involves transportation is this whole entire roundabout here at Lacey Boulevard and Pacific needs to be repaved. So we're taking this opportunity, since we need to close the roundabout anyway, for the utility work to go ahead and pave that entire roundabout with TBD.
That's the multi-care new location spot.
Correct, on the north side of that red line.
Are they gonna have an easement onto Golf Club? Or are they strictly gonna be on Pacific?
They have access to golf club.
They will have an easement there.
No direct access to Pacific though.
Correct. Oh,
Their driveway access will be off of Golf Club
strictly Golf Club.
or and Selma.
Got it.
This is to Sleater Kinney Pacific signal pole relocation. You can see the signal pole there in front of the Jiffy Lube is going to be relocated back behind the sidewalk to prevent hopefully further accidents involving that. The pre-construction meeting is this week for that work, expected to begin shortly. Then we have
I'm sorry. Is that gonna be on the Jiffy Lube parcel?
So if you see
We
the
bought a
pole,
piece of the Chippy Loop.
We did, okay.
Yeah.
I believe it
That's
gets
all.
relocated as kind of back here in this planter strip area where it gets.
That's why it took a little longer than expected. We had to buy the property and
But in negotiate that 12
Texas
by
and-
12.
it's hard to do over the phone.
All right. We just awarded the 2023 Mullen Road sewer improvements. Expected to begin here in the next 30 days or so. You can see the limits there is all in front of the Willows Crossing Rosewood neighborhood as well. There are 3 rounds of overlay projects scheduled for this year. The first of which shown here includes Carpenter Hills Loop, 34th Avenue Southeast, Gem Street, and Rainier Road and 70th Way. So picking up where we did the emergency repair at Rainier Road last year and carrying that through all the way across 66th Avenue, excuse me. That we are planning to advertise in April for construction this summer. Second portion includes here Britton Parkway and Gateway Roundabout, 8th Avenue Southeast, behind, I don't recall what it's called, Rick, but behind the new business center there off of Sleater Kinney.
Oh, the landing at landing at Sleater Kinney.
It's right behind that.
7-Eleven and then.
And then the Pacific Avenue and Hoban Roundabout as well. And then the third portion of the overlay project for this year does include water utilities. And so we're currently scoping that, and that one includes the Lake Crest neighborhood, 33rd Avenue and 36th Avenue. That will be scheduled to advertise in late fall to start construction through the winter. 2023 sidewalk repair, plan to advertise later this year as well, is includes 33rd Court and Riddle Park. It's on the right corner of the screen there, and the 45th Avenue to the Roundabout.
So, next we're really, focusing on projects that are transportation projects that, are in design under our transportation group. The first one of those is we set aside funds to start working towards getting, bicycle and pedestrian improvements, done from our list of improvements that are needed from that pedestrian and bicycle plan. So one of those projects that we selected for this year is the crosswalk at Ruddle Road, just north of Hazelwood Lane. So we're estimating that's going to be about $100,000, and we are working towards that now. So that should be done.
Will that be lighted? Lit?
Yeah, it'll have flashing beacons like the rest of them.
Nice.
And then the second project we selected was to work with city staff to install bicycle sharrows in several locations that were identified. I know this is hard to see on this map, but I'll send you the slides electronically so you can kind of zoom in on it. But they're the areas shown in yellow on the map.
What is a sharrow?
So the sharrow is it's the symbol that indicates that this is a shared roadway with a bicycle and a pedestrian.
They'll just have a bunch of
Or, I'm
arrows.
sorry,
Yeah, I've seen them on
Judd Street.
Judd Street is the bike pathway, right? Yeah.
So yeah, shared roadway arrow, Cheryl.
Yeah, okay. I should have put that one together. Thank
Say
you.
it super fast and you'll get it.
Uh-huh.
Not to be confused with Charlie.
Next we have the RAC Parking Lot Expansion, and this project involves transportation because last year our previous city manager had directed that we use the arterial street fund to do the frontage improvements. Well, the frontage improvements were required to be done as part of our the permitting process that we go through. But that was requested that be paid for out of our arterial street funds. So we do have a little over $600,000 budgeted for those improvements on Steilacoom Road.
One more thing to mention on this as well, the money that was set aside for electric vehicle charging stations for this year, we've opted to site here at the RAC expansion. So that is also partially funded by Arterial Streets and that.
So there'll be two of them there.
We're going to install as many as the budget allows, but
Okay.
we have minimum 2.
I can only imagine demand being higher.
Yeah, are we gonna pull conduit for more in case we want to install more later?
Yes, absolutely.
So there's a lesson that we've learned between this project and the one here at City Hall is that the need to check out transformer capacity is, well, important. We're 2 for 2 there.
Okay.
And so the energy draw at this location, yeah, right now it's limiting. So anyway, that's something that's being worked through. Sure. But is set up for more expansion.
And part of the reason for that is PSC approaches their services, what the customer needs versus what future growth may be needed. And so everything's designed for the use at the RAC or at the City Hall.
Which
That's
is
why
weird because they've been in the game a long time.
because they're a public invested company that they can't spend for the growth they do. It's a user fee relationship. So they don't oversize for future growth. They serve the need and then expand later.
Which almost seems cost backwards because we all know,
Right.
you know, especially in their service areas, the growth of the cities that they have service areas in have grown. Kent is 104,000 people now.
It's a different model than say what we do, so our public works department is very good. They've identified like a utility corridor that need a certain size and meet a development proposal. If we see anticipated future growth, we take the opportunity to upsize that portion in working with them and partnering with them. But yeah, it's a different model than what we apply.
So Assistant City Manager Shannon Kelly Fong has put in for 2 state grants there. One is to upgrade a transformer. The other is for an LED conversion of the field lights. So, obviously the transformer then would step up capacity. But then also if we were to get the grant for the conversion to LED field lights, then that reduces that draw.
Are we high
a lot
pressure sodium out there now?
Yeah,
It is.
and it's a different arrangement than like our streetlights. That basically all of the field lights that are there now were on, when the RAC was built, there was a contract for an entity to maintain those lights. So anything that went out, they replaced.
Right.
And so it's, and then obviously with field lights, we need to take a different approach than our street lights, where as they fail, we just convert from high pressure sodium to
The LEDs.
just, you can picture if you're out there playing ball and you've got this field's kind of yellow, this side's kind of bright, so anyway. But anyway, two grants have been submitted to help that would ultimately help provide more energy capacity there.
Yeah, I love this project because this is our big regional draw. And we're gonna have to have a whole lot more capacity in the area. We've got a lot more things happening at this location this year and in future years. It just gets booked up. And I think this is really gonna help.
As Ashley mentioned, we do have, in addition to the money we're using from arterial streets for the frontage improvements, we also do have money, that we currently have an annual program that we were starting up this year to set aside $500,000 a year towards electric vehicle charging station projects. And so we'll probably be looking for some guidance upcoming in this round of budget season. And if that's looking at city's commitments for our arterial streets funds and council priorities, kind of looking into, if that program, if that's what you guys want us to continue as far as, the funding source, or if there's other higher transportation priorities that money should be used for. So we'll be looking for some guidance and some further discussions on that upcoming as we get closer to budget. We have Carpenter Road and Britton Parkway roundabout that is currently under design. So this is one that we're designing it. It's going to be a single lane roundabout now, but we're designing it with the ability to expand it to a double lane roundabout when that need arises. So this project is currently funded from arterial streets, and we are currently just in the right-of-way negotiation process. So we anticipate that that's going to get done over the summer, so that we're able to start this work in the fall or winter this year. Next, we have College Street Northeast Extension. So this right here is College Street, and currently that road kind of curves around onto 6th. And this portion up here to the north is the portion that we would be cutting through a new road, an extension of College Street that extends up to 15th. And then we will be reconfiguring this intersection so that it's a T intersection instead of right now it's kind of a curved turn.
So single cabin dweller stays, and so does the church, right?
So,
Yeah, everybody stays.
Everybody stays.
so I have another map here where I attempted to show what what that pathway of the road was and where those right of way.
So Rick, could you maybe like back out of presentation mode and increase the size of the screen and the
Actually, I printed that out. I forgot to bring it with me. We go get it.
And I know we're a ways out on this, and I'm just trying to like, in my mind, see what it's gonna look like. So thank you for bringing this and then even entertaining the fact that I wanted to see something that has no real finish
Back out of presentation
date.
mode.
In show, there you
or
go. Go back to that,
escape?
the three
Escape
dots.
should get you there.
Oh, there we go.
So yeah, if you just go up to that and then go to that
Bottom right.
bottom right, just drag the bar to, yeah, there you go. Probably blow that up enough to.
There we go.
So yeah, crosshatch shows you some red case there.
Any questions on?
No, I was just wondering what it was gonna look like, because when you said there's gonna be a T, then I thought, cause I take that way occasionally. And then I thought, well, that sounds bigger than what I'm thinking. I was thinking like maybe, I didn't know if we were trying to buy those guys out, all the way out.
So this is that area you're talking about, I believe. It's right here is where this little hatch right here indicates the center line of that new roadway where that will connect. So it's just this area right here. It's that hatch.
So it'll look much the same as it does now.
Yes.
We'll be taking a lot of trees out, right?
Clean up and push through.
Ooh. What's the timeline on this?
So we are currently.
We're hoping to go out to ad by the end of the year.
Yeah, so we're currently working on the 60% design and also just starting those right of way acquisitions. So if everything goes as planned and goes smoothly with those right of way purchases, then we would hope to go out to ad by the end of the year. Start in early 2024.
Okay.
Direction, but. So here's Martin Way.
Yeah, and then 15th. And so it'll just T there and then, okay, so. Cause that's just kind of a weird, isn't it like, kind of like that? Is that about right?
Yeah, there's a lot of vertical work here.
Yeah.
That's why we had a lot of retaining walls.
Okay, I just wanted to see, I
Know that we're not even close, right?
We're
But
close.
this
Just gotta get
project
right
is
away.
on my mind all the time and I don't know why.
They're talking about
We're
the
close, so.
acquisition this year and go out to bid by the end of the year for construction next year.
What's like the projected traffic flow from when this happens? Like,
Right now, I think we were projecting about 10,000-12,000 a day.
okay. Substantial.
I think it doubles what's there now, basically.
Thanks for showing me. I just wanted to kind of take a look at the scope. I know Dave's still working on right away stuff.
We just started the right of way acquisitions on these. So we'll be completing the design the same time we work on that right of way, and we hope that that is all completed by the end of the year.
So I remember one time we did this, the push from Ruddle to College, right? And that was a much wider, bigger thing with planter boxes in the middle, right? Or Mullen, sorry, from Ruddle to College.
Oh, the Mullen extension?
Yep,
Yes.
yeah. And so this is kind of a similar kind of acquisition project and acquisition and push through is that, which really facilitated a lot of flow.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Mullen Road, I think we had most of the right of way when we started building it.
And all that right of way is dedicated by the neighborhoods that were developed and subdivided in the 90s. That corridor was there for quite some time. There's a few right of way asks towards the college end of that, but most of that corridor was already there.
So one of the benefits here is that when this connection is made, it will eliminate the cut through traffic that cuts through the neighborhood.
Yeah, I'm part of that. FYI. Okay, sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
This project also includes some utility work along this corridor. And paving from Route 6 all the way down to Sleater, Kinney.
Oh, in front of the schools.
Yes. This is College and 16th. College and 16th. So there would be, we're designing a new roundabout at the intersection of College and 16th, but the project limits extend from, there was the College and 22nd project. So there was the point where that kind of meets up with where that project ended and then all the way down to Lacey Boulevard. So we currently have federal grant for a portion of the preliminary engineering. And we do have a $3.9 million grant to get right of way started. The total estimated project cost on this is about $20 million. If we were able to find some source of funding, we could tentatively start this project as early as 2027, but we have filled out a raised grant application for this. We did last year and did not receive it. So we filled it out again this year. So that this is a project that we hope to build soon, but we currently do not have funding for this project for construction. College and 29th roundabout, we have just started the process of hiring a consultant to get started on the design of this. We did receive a federal grant to cover a portion of the design. The design is tentative to take about 3.5 years. We do not currently have funding for right-of-way acquisition or construction. So assuming we had some source of funding and everything went smoothly, you could tentatively start construction on this project as early as 2030. The project costs on this are significantly higher than the College and 16th roundabout. We're making a really, really rough guess. It'll be somewhere greater than 30 million. It is a longer stretch of roadway. And also, looking at construction of this at least 7 years out, we don't know what inflation and all of that. So this will be a quite expensive project that is, again, we need to figure out a funding source to move forward.
Yeah, I don't think any of us expect you to be able to project costs 7 to 10 years out. It'd be awesome if you could.
That's why it's greater than 30 million. I know that, but yeah, we had a hard time nailing down on them. We have the Willamette Drive and Glen roundabout. We are just in the process of hiring a consultant to start this work. So this one, preliminary engineering, we are estimating at about $250,000. And we did receive a federal grant for a good portion of that design. Right of way is very minimal, should take about a year. And then we have a total project cost at about $2.5 million. So this is another one that we could start as early as 2027, pending funding.
Hey, I forgot I had a question on the College Street situation. You don't have to go back for it. At the end of that, how many roundabouts would be on College Street?
We currently have 17 roundabouts, right?
No, just on College Street.
Oh, on College Street, sorry. There,
Well, there's 6 total.
Total 6?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Gotcha.
so yeah, this is another one that's upcoming that, we'll have to decide if we want to move forward with, our Turtle Streets funds and to get that design done.
Sorry, back to College Street. Just down beyond 54, there's still the lighted intersection at the apartments and the
Corporate Center.
in the corporate center. Is that on radar as well, or is that just going to be left the way it is?
The intent was to leave it as a signal.
Gotcha. Okay. Just wondering.
The only one we're struggling with is 37th and College.
That's mixed in between the roundabouts,
Yeah,
right?
that one has some merit to convert over to a roundabout.
Okay. Gotcha.
Next, we have College Street and Seventh Avenue Roundabout. It's currently in the conceptual phase. We're intending to request budget approval to get the design started on this in 2024. Pending a developer agreement. So this one is the developer would dedicate right of way to us, and then we're responsible for the design and construction. This one is not eligible for grant funding, so this one is estimated at about $5 million, and this would come out of our arterial streets fund.
Is this the one where we talked about possibly collaborating with St. Martin's, and because they have?
Yes, so St. Martin's and the developer, I believe, are both part of that agreement, and I believe there are some right of way that St. Martin's is dedicating as part of that as well.
Gotcha.
This is the,
You guys, this is where the pedestrian bridge is supposed to be going, right?
crossing.
Yeah,
Pedestrian crossing.
do you think adding this roundabout, because I mean, I know the diverging diamond interchange on exit 111 moves pedestrians pretty well. Do you think that would alleviate the need for a, a pedestrian crossover, whatever you call it?
Well, talked about for a lot of years of trying to establish a safe, well-designed pedestrian crossing across College Street, especially for university students to get back and forth. We had looked at an at-grade crossing a block down or south of that location of 7th. But with the idea of this partnership on this roundabout, that's going to replace the need for the crossing at this point down south. And so this will have a much more safe and controlled crossing, as you see as many of our other roundabouts with the flashing beacons and everything such as that. This agreement, the council committee remembers last year's retreat, there was a presentation by Mike Raskin of MGR Development and Andrew from St. Martin's Abbey and myself to talk about this partnership. Currently there is a drafted memorandum of understanding that's in place going back and forth between St. Martin's and MGR Development. Once they have agreement to that, we'll bring it forward to council for review and consideration. And then once that happens, then this project will be starting to go, as Aubrey said, into the budget cycle.
But it can be argued that that pedestrian crossing would have cost over $1 million. So that could take away from this over $5 million project, right? I mean, that could be, you know.
Scott, you want to?
Yeah, the pedestrian crossing, I think, was more in the $200,000 to $300,000.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We weren't talking about a pedestrian bridge. It was an at-grade crossing and a refuge island and a beacon.
Yeah, I was referring to a bridge, a pedestrian, crossover thing.
A bridge would have cost more and wouldn't be economical in terms of cost and the space it would require. Because it's level on both sides of the bridge, you have your minimum ADA slopes that are required. So if you've ever crossed the bridge, pedestrian bridge there at Pacific Avenue going south, you look at how long that approach run is to get down to grade. That's how much property you need both on the east and west side of College to accommodate, to ramp up and over a bridge.
And so
even a spiral case, it would still take a lot.
Yeah, but with this roundabout, not only does it provide a safe pedestrian crossing, but it also provides access into 7th, full access into 7th in the Midtown district to help facilitate some of the development that's planned to go on inside Midtown area.
Okay. Cool. Thanks, guys.
And it gives another east-west path to Sleater Kinney besides 6th Avenue and Pacific.
Oh, yeah.
The next project on our list is 14th Avenue and Sleater Kinney intersection. So as you can see in the picture, we intend to replace this with flashing stop signs, and we also have some ADA work to do to make that compliant. So this is currently in design right now. Total project estimated at just $200,000.
This one seems to be primed for a roundabout. I mean, I guess location wise and in terms of traffic flow, but man, everything's so right on the edge there. And with 2 lanes each direction and a turn lane,
I think it
there's
was last year we removed it from we had a roundabout there in our 6-year tip and we removed it because we weren't collecting enough mitigation.
oh, okay.
It was last year, a year before?
Yeah,
I'm not good at
I mean,
time.
it's fairly, it requires a large footprint, so your property tags are pretty expensive there.
Yeah, that's what I meant by everything so close to the edge that we would have, I could see the cost just. Yeah, okay.
My next project on the list is the 4th Avenue extension. So this is the area, so here is Twin Star Credit Union, I believe, and then there's the daycare right next door. So this is that area of 4th Avenue. That right now is kind of a dead end street right here, and then it extends from there over to Golf Club Road. So this project, we have not started design yet. We're estimating the project cost of about $1.5 million. This is another one that is not eligible for grant funding. So this one would come out of arterial streets to construct. And we anticipate being able to start construction on this in 2026, assuming that we do have some right of way to purchase in this area still. So assuming that all goes as planned, then start in 2026. Next on the list, I just wanted to make you aware that we are working to do our transportation plan update. So the last update on this is 2012. We are required to update this every 10 years. However, in 2022, we're waiting on census data. So we kind of got a little bit of a break from starting that last year. So we are starting that this year.
Yeah, what we have to do is TRPC has to finish their new model for their 2045 scenario. And then we'll take that and finish our comp plan.
Gotcha.
So we will be hiring a consultant to work on this later this year. And then I just wanted to throw this in there. I wasn't sure if you all had ever seen this map before. But it's our traffic control map, which kind of gives you a layout of how many roundabouts we have in the city currently and planned or in design, as well as signals and all of that. So
Awesome. I have not seen this map before.
that's the end of my presentation. So now
Are those pedestrian signals, the yellows, are those just the at-grade crossings with a push button ped signal or that?
Those are actually either a pedestrian signal or a hawk, not the beacons.
Okay.
I
so
think the only signal we have left is one on Carpenter by Woodland Elementary.
Yeah.
I'll open it up to all of you if anyone has any questions, comments.
Does anybody have anything? No? Council members, do you guys have anything?
No, I mean, I
I'll
know
just
that.
say, no, go ahead, Robin. Sorry.
Michael. I know TRPC is in the midst of discussing amendments to its future plans. There's a couple of amendments currently under consideration. One of them in particular, I know that Lacey wrote a letter about, and I'd love to talk more about the history of that east-west corridor that has been in the plans for multiple cities and on the TRPC list for a long time, because it's kind of currently under debate.
It's the log cabin corridor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I can give you the history. Before Thurston County widened Yelm Highway, it was probably in the mid-90s, plus or minus a few years. The county did what they called the South Ring Road Study. So they were looking at a different corridor further south that could connect and take some pressure off of Yelm Highway so they didn't have to widen it. And what that study found out is that if you extend the Log Cabin Road extension, it'll take all the pressure off of the Yelm Highway. And it could take as much traffic as you wanted to. So when the city of Olympia asked to remove that, that kind of created a problem for us because that would create some congestion issues on Yelm Highway. And I think at full council Friday, they were saying it also put some pressure off of Pacific Avenue and some of the other roads that I didn't really expect. So that's what we were looking at.
Yeah, not during this meeting because I know we are short on time, but I would like some more information about what we mean by creating pressure. Because when I asked the statistician that was there at TRPC about that, he said, we make these changes to the model we have for the entire region. We make these adjustments to whether or not there are paths through and we can see things light up if there's a problem. But I really want to hear what it's going to do to, Yelm Highway and Pacific, because the language we used in our letter was that we will be at capacity or over capacity on some of these streets within the next 10 years. And I kind of want to understand what that means. So maybe in the future we could set up some time and you could talk me through that.
Sure. Maybe we can bring that to one of our next meetings.
It's the specific request was that it not be removed until the city of Olympia ran models and demonstrated that it did not create inefficiencies in other locations. So inefficiency, whether a vehicle is required to drive longer or if a vehicle is delayed, you can look at that in terms of, creates more carbon. So there's that air quality portion involved.
Right.
And then another really important consideration that wasn't mentioned in our letter is anytime an agency applies, goes to the interchange justification report in order to upgrade an interchange or add an interchange, they want you to demonstrate that you've done everything you can to remove trips from the freeway. So obviously in this area, the term's known as short tripping. You hop on it at Olympia and get off in Lacey. And that is the only available east-west corridor between Yelm Highway and Pacific, where a vehicle could, drive from I-5 in the west all the way through to Meridian and 510 on the east. There are no other opportunities. And as was pointed out in the letter, both, Lacey and Thurston County combined have spent over $24 million upgrading that corridor as part of this master plan. So there are numerous reasons, but not creating more inefficiencies is a big one.
Yeah, I think some folks are framing it as either we build a road or we protect trees. But reducing the length of trips, reducing travel on freeways also has an impact on carbon emissions. And so that's the piece that I want a better understanding of, because it really is not as simple as some are framing it.
Well, and I'll just add this too with Martin's reference to the South Ring Road. If it's not here, is there another need for that other east-west corridor? You put it further out south in the rural areas. What does that do for not only development patterns out there that put pressure on expanding growth areas or environmental protection, but then also too, it's not in a position to benefit the maximum number of people, the urban population.
Yeah.
Okay, does anybody else have anything?
I just wanted to say happy birthday to my son who turns 21 today.
Wow.
And then
Big
other
birthday.
than that, sorry I wasn't there. Not still on the cusp of not feeling 100%, so I didn't want to get anybody sick, and you guys know the drill. Just appreciate the public works and the staff that work every day to improve our lives, so we're enjoying more time with our families and then sitting in our cars or drinking maybe less sub quality water as compared to where it could be as best water as it can be or whatever. So I'm not really thinking or communicating perfectly. A lot going on, but you guys know you appreciate it and appreciate, and just have a good weekend. Even though it's it's only Tuesday.
Yeah.
That pretty much tells you where I'm at. So
And with that, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for this update. This is valuable information for us because we get asked questions about this stuff all the time. You know,
Yeah.
whether it's in an email or whether it's in person, whether you're trying to shop at Costco and people want to know what's out there. These updates really help us as we're out in the community. So thank you so very much for all that you guys doing. And if there's nothing further from anyone else, I'm going to call this meeting adjourned. And thank you all for being here.
take care.
Thank you.
We'll follow up. It's out to the committee member, but also send it out to the rest of the council so they have this information as well.
Please do.